segment where he kind of asked us questions that we did not know were coming from different events over the weekend. So let's fire away.
All right, so let's start off. You guys ever have a really bad day at work or play the wrong sounder on the soundboard and you just want to quit in the middle of the show?
Yeah. Yeah.
Vontae Davis did something that I have never seen before in an NFL game. Dude's playing for the Bills, and albeit they're having themselves a rough start to the season. I think they just scored their first touchdown in the waning moments of that game on Sunday. But Vontae Davis, during halftime, decides he was going to call it a career and retires. Thoughts?
That's the dumbest thing I've ever seen a player do in a long. It's almost unheard of for players to actually do that. I mean, at least you retire after the game. He didn't tell anybody that he had thoughts.
Just walked out.
Just walked out. And I seen someone that tweeted something out like, imagine being a Bills fan and it's the middle of the third quarter and Vontae Davis drives past you on the highway. I mean, in high school.
Don't you have somewhere to be?
In high school, the starting running back in front of me got hurt, and then he said, this was right before the big Thanksgiving game.
Yeah.
And he turned to the coach and said, I quit. He's a senior, and he says, God told me to quit. And my coach looks at me, I'm a junior, he's like, you're starting the Thanksgiving game. I'm like, okay. I mean, that's a level of like, come on, dude, like, what's wrong with you?
Yeah.
So, I mean, Vontae Davis, everybody in the NFL is going to look at you. You're going to get side-eyed from everybody, even your grandma.
Have you ever seen a walkout like that before in any other profession?
No, and it's a shame because I'm sure this guy played Pop Warner football, and then he played high school football, and then he played college ball, and then he played football at the highest level in the National Football League. And his legacy, his stamp on the game, when his kids Google his name to see what kind of career did my daddy have, they're going to find out their daddy was the dude who will forever be known as the guy who quit at halftime on his team. Like, look, you collected your check. You were guaranteed, what was it, $5 million if you made the roster. If you had any serious thought of retirement, I can understand you getting that bag, getting your paper, and then thinking that you want to bounce. But do it after the game. Have a conversation with your coach. Have a conversation with your general manager. Have a conversation with the owner and your teammates who you have a responsibility to. Have a conversation with them. And if you still feel like you want to retire and leave the game, so be it. But you are forever, your mark, your legacy, your name will forever be synonymous with a quitter. It's terrible.
Yeah.
Terrible.
That's going to be hard to motivate your kids when they got that dirt on you.
His kid's going to be like, at least I didn't quit on my team, Daddy.
Go to bed. They got that on.
What's next?
So next we've got poor Hugh Jackson and the Browns, man. The Browns are going to brown. They had a chance to win the game this week, and the Browns kicker misses 2 field goals and 2 extra points, and that led the fans to holding an impromptu kicker tryout in the streets. Do you think they pull a Vince Papale and pull someone off the streets, or do you think they just sign another kicker?
Browns fans, I gotta admit, I'm growing sort of like the appreciation that I used to have for the Bills Mafia. They're gonna shut a lot of that tailgate shenanigans down. I've grown a appreciation and respect for the fans of Cleveland for at the very least, their creativity. Take it from the guy who burned the jersey in the parking lot and had a Jason Kelsey impersonation, our dude Brennan, do the speech. Yeah. They have like an affinity towards theater, having a parade for going winless. Good for you, guys. Good for you. Running into a lake with Hugh Jackson. There you go. And now they're having impromptu kicker tryouts on the streets with dudes from the streets. Maybe Shody Fody was there. He could have been. He could have been. Like Bills fans, I tip my hat to you. You at least have a sense of humor, and you show the world that despite being dumped on by your organization time and time again, you take it on the chin, figuratively and literally sometimes, and you go ahead and you have a good laugh at it.
I mean, that whole situation is like the most Brown thing ever. You know, like it just keeps happening to them. Yeah. Like you just like, when is it gonna stop? They drafted Manziel. He's all high as hell. They mishandled the Josh Gordon situation. The guy that they drafted instead of Carson Wentz, Corey Coleman is gone. He's there's so many bad things that have happened to the Browns that nothing that happens to the Browns, I'm surprised. It's a Brown thing.
Now let me ask you a second level question here. When we before we won the Super Bowl, we all wondered about what that would be like for the city of Philadelphia. If the Browns 40 years probably down the road, the NFL still exists. What is the reaction to the fan base of them winning a Super Bowl? Do you think that they're gonna miss being like wearing the badge of misery?
You know what? If the Browns ever ended up in the playoffs, when sometime down the road the Browns end up in the playoffs, just know, Cleveland, that I'm rooting for you.
Yeah.
I want to see you win. And if the Browns ever happen to be in the Super Bowl, we might all have to collectively go out to Cleveland once again, just to see it. We can wear our eagle. I don't care. I just want to see it when it happens. Yeah. Because you talk about a fan base that absolutely deserves it. Like Cleveland,
they're loyal.
They're loyal, and to a fault.
Yeah,
and they shouldn't be.
Beginning of the season, I talked about I just root for their fan base to see them win something. I mean, if they won something, I would call Shody Fody and let them know that we are on.
40's on us.
40's on us, absolutely.
Yeah, I mean, I would go out there and party.
Cleveland, if you're in the Super Bowl, just know the 4th and JAWN's going to be there just to see it go down. Just to see it go down.
So did you guys see the Monday Night Football game last night?
I did.
Yes. There was an interesting after a score. There was an interesting thing that happened. There was a drop kick kickoff by Michael Dixon of the versus the Bears. You guys, when was the last time you saw that?
Actually, I was asleep.
You were asleep?
I was knocked out from being
well, to tell you,
from this trip. Tell me more. Tell me more.
Instead of placing the ball on the tee, the kicker just went up and dropped the ball and kicked it immediately after it hit the ground. What is the advantage?
I don't know. Remember when the Patriots did that, like for an extra point? I think Doug Flutie or something.
Yeah, I think it was like a fake punt throw or something.
No. It was an extra point, but Doug Flutie drop kicked it for the extra point for no apparent reason other than to show off. I don't know if there's any strategic advantage for that.
Yeah, it is
for the kickoff.
I mean, maybe they're just trying to get a return out of it.
Perhaps. You know?
Wasn't there a flag on that play too that brought the kickoff a little closer?
Yeah.
There was something like that where a drop kick might have been advantageous because you're not going to get you can get the height. You get the height, so you're not trying to just kick it into the end zone. You're actually trying to pin the team in the 5-yard line with enough time, with enough hang time to get your boys down there. Mm-hmm. Did it work?
They ended up kicking it down to like the 5, and it had a high arc on it, so it had some good hang time.
There you go.
The Eagles, their kickoff against the Bucks, they kicked it up real high. Remember that? At the end of the game?
No, I think it was dying of heat stroke.
Yeah. But they did that.
It was hot.
But they didn't drop kick it, but they did kick it up high.
So maybe that was the advantage.
So, we've got another hot start for Andy Reid and the Chiefs. Pat Mahomes is really turning a lot of heads. The dude's got 10 touchdowns through 2 games, and he had 6 touchdowns versus the Steelers yesterday. Steelers are my next point. But what do you think of Pat Mahomes? Do you think he's the next elite quarterback that's going to emerge in this league, or is this a flash in the pan we're seeing?
I think he's got a lot of arm talent. A lot of people, when he was coming out of the draft, kind of like refer to him like in a Brett Favre type way, the way that he plays outside of the system. And with his kind of arm, he can sling it all over the field. And when you got guys like
Tyreek
Hill, who can run like lightning, and you got Kelsey streaming across, he's got a lot of weapons. And I think he's got one of the most touchdowns by any rookie quarterback.
That 10 touchdowns through 2 games is actually the most in NFL history through 2 games.
I mean, it's impressive.
Right.
Andy Reid found his Donovan McNabb in Kansas City. And Donovan McNabb found success early on in his career. Why? Because he had a tight end that he could rely on in Chad Lewis. Mm-hmm. He's got one in Kelsey. Yeah. He had, maybe he didn't have the receiver like a Hill, but he also had a running back like Hunt who could carry the load, a good offensive line, and a defense under Jim Johnson that could carry them. I mean, he's got basically the 2000 Eagles 2.0 there, and the kid, it's a quarterback-friendly system, and the kid's going to do well.
All right. So, a dumpster fire we didn't see coming this year would be the Steelers. With just after a game, a Steelers employee claims Antonio Brown's success is a product of Big Ben, and AB challenged him on Twitter saying to trade him to prove his worth. And then he ultimately didn't end up showing up to the facility on Monday, but his agent came out and said that it was unrelated. What's going on with the Steelers, guys? Between Bell and between Antonio Brown, like, are we watching this like dumpster fire just ignite now? Is it gonna get bigger?
Well, Antonio Brown also got into a fight with his offensive coordinator on the sideline.
Yeah.
And then someone else was saying that they saw him and his agent after the game, and he was like livid, like talking to his agent. Maybe, and then he doesn't show up on Monday.
Yeah.
I mean, that's something's going on. I don't know what it is. I mean, Le'Veon Bell is not there. Maybe the culture is off. I don't know.
I can tell you what's going on. I know exactly what happened.
Deep in.
The Jacksonville Jaguars happened last year. Because the Pittsburgh Steelers overlooked the Jaguars so bad and were so concerned with the New England Patriots because Mike Tomlin and Tony Dungy had that conversation and they kept talking about Steelers Patriots, Steelers Patriots, Steelers Patriots. That when Jacksonville went into Heinz Field and destroyed them, Mike Tomlin lost that locker room. Completely.
So a similar effect to when Pete Carroll didn't run the ball in the Super Bowl.
Exactly. Thank you. That's exactly what happened. The players started to tune him out when they drafted that quarterback in the, third, fourth round?
Oh,
and Ben Roethlisberger's, pitching a fit about it. And then you got Bell holding out. You got AB going to bat for him. You got AB now not showing up. Yeah. That if you follow the tracks back, when did this all start? Jacksonville in that playoff game. Yeah. You have the Jacksonville Jaguars in that interview with Tony Dungy and Mike Tomlin, the thing. It was all downhill from there. You can point at that exact moment when the wheels came off of the entire thing.
Yeah, I don't know, man. I just feel like something's off. I think the way that they're handling the Le'Veon Bell thing is just all weird. Like, if you're willing to give them all chunks of money here, you should have just paid them, because I felt like that. All the players talk. They're like, as soon as I'm out of here. Like, now they're holding him kind of hostage, and like, it just rubs the players the wrong way. I just think they need to draft some more receivers.
Yeah.
I mean, Juju Smith's the next, but they need.
He looks legit.
They need something.
Yeah. And if we could just touch on one thing, that it ultimately came from the Eagles game, but did Ryan Fitzpatrick really need to flex on us like that?
Hey, man,
I got to admit, I was a fan of it.
Yeah, he looked like a baller.
I mean, that was kind of cool.
I do like it. But then somebody, everyone's been calling him Fitzmagic.
Fitzmagic.
And Minka Fitzpatrick went out and registered Fitzmagic, so now they can't say it. He trademarked it.
Oh, wow.
There was a moment, and I think it was in the third quarter, maybe it was the fourth quarter, that Gail and I are sitting there. Maybe I said it to Cody. The boys from Set It Off, they got seats, and we ended up sitting with them in the shade. Finally, the sun went down behind the stadium. We got one little ounce of shade. And I turned to them and I said, because they were showing the Bucks fans on the Jumbotron absolutely having the time of their lives.
Of course.
And I said to them, I'm like, look, imagine what it feels like to be a Buccaneers fan right now. Low expectations going into the season. Jameis Winston gets suspended. All of a sudden, you outduel Drew Brees and the Saints, and then you come put a spanking on the world champion Philadelphia Eagles. I mean, they got to be feeling right now. They can't fill out their own stadium, but they got to be feeling right now almost the way that we felt last year.
Yeah.
And being like, is this real life?
Yeah.
What's happening right now?
Mm-hmm.
And if you're the Buccaneers, when Jameis is ready to come back, I don't give him the job. I'm sorry.
How is it, though, that 14 years into his career, Ryan Fitzpatrick is able to just find the fountain of youth, and all of a sudden he's just lighting it up?
I mean, he talks about having the most weapons he's ever had. And then, even D-Jax is back. And D-Jax here already publicly said, he's like, you can't take him out. He's too hot.
Yeah.
He's too hot, baby.